Good afternoon. We're back at Fred's Funny Farm and we've got some extra special guests with us today who we're going to chat with and reminisce with. But first, before we start the meat and bones of the programme, I'd just like to thank a few people. We went to visit it's called For the Love of Food in Salford. It's a food bank run by Sammy Woodward. Now, I think she was
Sammy Bellamy?
Sammy Bellamy, that's her sister.
All right.
Anyway, Sammy, you do a great job. You provide so much food for people, and you're providing 500 meals at Christmas for people of limited means and pensioners in the gateways of Salford. So good luck with that. Keep on doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job, honestly, Sammy.
Well done, Sammy.
Yeah, raise me back. Well, last night we were invited to the Lowry Theatre in Salford to see the return of LS Lowry's going to the match, 8.5 million, which I hasten to add wasn't paid for by Salford Council. It was the Law family. So stop moaning, you're wasting taxpayers.
Who's the Law family?
Very rich benefactors to the family of Salford.
All right,
so
okay.
I don't know about them. But it was a splendid evening, enhanced by free beer.
Oh, that'd go down a treat with you and Carl.
It went down a treat. And also, to add to the football theme, they had pasties made by HM Prison. There's no files in them or anything. Just thought of that. No, they were lovely. And they had mini burgers, gin, beer, all by 7 brothers and 4 sisters. Gin distillery. So 4 sisters, we like a bit of gin, so you know what I mean.
Pity you and Carl had popped in McDonald's before you got this free feast, isn't it?
Carl did. And also,
you did.
Also, we took the grace to leave Fred at home.
Yeah.
At Oldham Radio.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was chatting. Anyway, we'll get on with the show.
Okay.
2 guests. First one we're going to speak to is the fragrant Darren Goulden, Irlam Live, who has kindly brought some beer with us. Now, you've got some news about the Buzzing Festival. Would you please?
No, I haven't.
Not the Buzzing. Irlam.
What's that going on?
Sorry,
Phone,
gents.
Is that your phone?
Damn technology.
The beauty of live.
Does it go off after a bit?
Yeah.
That's a great ring.
Well, it did.
I thought you were doing that tune with your bum that you do when you've had loads of vodka, you know.
Yeah, that one.
Hey, that's gone now, it's stopped.
The trumpet voluntary.
Yeah.
Involuntary.
Involuntary, yeah.
Right, Darren?
Irlam Live.
Irlam Live.
Irlam
this
Live,
year,
yeah. Irlam Live
next
next
year,
year,
next
yeah.
year.
2023. So,
What dates?
2nd, 3rd and 4th of June next year.
Praying for good weather again?
I don't have to
You
pray
don't
for
need,
it.
don't
It,
pray
it
for
turns up.
God shines on us in Irlam.
70 degrees with a slight breeze.
Jesus wants you for a sunbeam.
So, can you reveal any of the guests?
We've got some brand new guests we've never had before, and we've got some old favourites as well. So I think it's a really good mix, to be honest. Obviously, tributes on the Friday evening. We've got like the likes of Oasis coming back, which are always popular. But we've got a few tweaks on it as well. So
Can you reveal anything or
well,
under wraps?
I can do, to be quite honest. Yeah, the Friday. So it'll be headlined by Oasis, and we've always had like a Manchester theme. But Queen were that good last year. We're going to throw a Queen in, and we've got a Jerry Cinnamon tribute band as well. He's called Gary Cinnamon, which is brilliant. And then we've got another, and we're thinking to add something. So it may well be a really good Beatles.
Really?
Yeah, we're thinking of doing a Beatles.
I've
yeah.
seen that Fab Four on YouTube and they're brilliant.
Yeah, there's some
so
really
many,
good
though,
ones
isn't
out
there? So
there.
many
There's some
Beatles,
really
yeah.
good
And the
ones.
Ruttles were one
Well,
of the
they were brilliant. Well, they were a proper spoof. So what about the other genuine acts, if you want to
Yeah, so obviously 6 on each day, 6 on Saturday, 6 on Sunday. Some really good old favourites coming back, the likes of Ben and Abs and Five. We love them. And some really good headliners.
Come on, tell me.
I can't tell you the Saturday one. That's in fairness, Phil that does it all. He's in Qatar, so he won't be listening to this anyway.
I
so
actually know who it is, and I'm going to spill the beans because I've had previous information on your guest. It's a George Formby sound alike. Turned out nice again, you bugger. Oh, bugger.
No, we've got a really good mix. Soul, Northern Soul, indie. We're going with this year. We've got a really good band for the Sunday that are only 6 miles away from the league. And they are fantastic.
The Northern Soul bit appeals to me, but the indie bit I think's more Flynny's bag, you know. I like the Northern Soul.
We may well be
use,
doing
then.
something
Make way
else
for use.
because next year is the 50th anniversary of Wigan Casino.
Oh, it would be 1973.
So
Russ Winstanley,
it looks like-
Kev Roberts, and Richard Serling.
yeah, so it looks like we've got something. So next year, instead of having 2 stages, we're having a big stage like we normally do, and we're having the second stage is going to be inside a massive tent. Because when we did the We're Buzzing, it was brilliant inside the tent. It was really, really good. The atmosphere was great. So it's going to hold about 1,000 people inside that tent. It's going to have a massive production in there. It's just going to be like a normal stage. But we're going to have different things in there. So there's going to be a lot of dance stuff going on, but there'll be a lot of stuff for kids going on. There might even be appearances from...
Oh,
You know, you never know, do you? You never know.
I hope so.
You know-
will there be an appearance by the Mansfields?
Yes. Yes,
Oh,
the
yes.
Mansfield-
10%.
yes, the Mansfields
20%
definitely.
for me, but I donate 20% back to you.
Yeah,
He'll be saying charity in a minute, but just to talk about it. I go, oh.
Just like to talk
So
about
what dates
charity.
have we got? Dates finalised?
yes, so the date's
1996.
finalised, 2nd, 3rd and 4th of June. So Friday's the 2nd, obviously, Saturday the 3rd and Sunday the 4th. Same timings, from about 4 o'clock on the Friday, and then full day Saturday and Sunday.
Will there be beer there?
Of course.
Oh, there'll be plenty of beer there, yeah.
I like it because it's served in a pitcher, not a pint pot.
And it was free, wasn't it, last
It
week?
was, and it was a credit to you. Well done.
Are you still supporting local industries and trades?
Yes, absolutely. You know, we've got loads of good charities coming down again. Loads of, I mean, I think we worked out that something like 88% of everybody that came down was within 10 miles. You know,
Just on a sober point for a moment, don't you think that the television's overdoing it now, asking for charity contributions?
What's this
in
got
the
to do with
present,
Irlam Live?
no, in the present climate, there's a lot of charity. They're asking for more money and things like that. People
Don't
just ain't got the bread.
Ignore them.
do you know what I don't get? Where you used to be able to contribute, and now it's like,
They're telling you how much.
just give 35.
Exactly. That's why I think it's wrong.
I've never got that bit, but
Times like this, I'm glad I've not got a telly licence. Just ignore them.
yeah. I
Charity
mean,
begins at home with me. Help people who need it more. No, anyway, get back to the music and the drugs and rock and roll.
yeah. I mean, we've honestly, I think the headliner, certainly the Saturday headliner, boy band will be brilliant. I think it'll smash the place. They're on tour next year.
It's not the Dallas Boys, is it? Are they
not.
making a comeback?
Not them, no. And one of the guests that couldn't make it last year, she's going to be headlining the Sunday, which is great.
I know who that is.
And we've got some old friends coming back as well. You know, so that she has her own show on a Sunday afternoon with her husband, Roger.
Oh, I know what you mean now.
Yeah, so
that is a big name, that. Yeah.
she's
Is
brilliant.
it who I think it is?
Why, who do you think it is?
Goats,
I'm not going to say her name, but does it begin with T?
It may well do, actually.
Right, we'll
Yeah,
just
good
leave
think.
it at that.
Good thinking, Batman.
So, are Salford Media invited down to cover the
Yeah, of course you are. Salford Media invited down.
Good.
Buzzy's invited down. Bradshaw's invited down. Everybody's invited down.
Even
Let's make it a big fab fun.
even
Apart from your family, the other side.
the Queen.
Yeah, I've seen his family tree.
is the Queen allowed?
Do you mean Michelle Cantliff's Queen or the Freddie Mercury Queen?
No, the other Queen.
The one with the blue across the chest thing?
Queen
Sash.
Vic. Queen Vic.
She's still mourning for Albert. She'll be all right.
Anyone that
she'll
comes
get
has
over
got
it.
to add to the event. That's what
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
saying. You've got to add to
Don't
the event.
encourage them though.
It is a real, I must
His paint in
admit,
the
it's
face
a,
is blue round.
it's a real community spirited
brilliant.
occasion
It's
because it's
brilliant.
family as well, isn't it? It's not just mums and dads, it's kids as well. They can come.
It's important that, you know,
It is.
Yeah.
when we first set out, it
We
was
don't
like...
want an Altamont, do we? We want-
No, and you know, I mean, it's nice that the mums and dads can enjoy themselves. They can watch the acts on the big stage. They can let the kids run free. You know, we've never had anything happen to any kids. Got security there. It's a sealed entrance and stuff. So they can't get out.
Have we got another VIP area?
Yeah, we
Great
could get
VIP
it.
area. Got a lovely VIP area, like I say, and
wow.
you know, for invited guests and sponsors only.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well,
No, really good.
I think you've ticked. What are these, Darren, by the way?
Yeah, so obviously,
for
well,
me.
we work with the likes of Joseph Holtz and loads of other people, and people since Irlam Live. I've got 5 festivals next year.
Right.
So I'm doing actually 5 festivals next year. I'm doing Irlam Live, which is one. I'm helping Steve out with G-Fest, which is another one, which is brilliant. We know Steve. I've got some lads that need help with Preston Live up Preston Way. And then I've got a huge thing in September. That again, you'll be first to know as soon as it
under
does.
wraps, yeah.
But if that comes off, that is... I mean, I've been with the guy that wants to do it, massive, huge name in dance, DJ in dance. He's like the daddy of house music. You know, he was there first, and
Daddy OG?
no,
For him. Sure enough.
but no, it was the lad's has his own record label. He's a producer for the likes of Kylie Minogue, Tom Jones, all these people. He's a massive name.
He's done a bit then, has he?
He wants to do something, and we want to do something, and we want to
all
make it
do.
happen. So we're in negotiations. We spent 4 days at the venue last week, trying to trying to sort it out. So that's what we're trying to
Well,
do.
here's to Irlam Live 2023.
Yeah, absolutely,
Darren,
absolutely.
thanks for coming in, young man.
No worries. It's a
That's
pleasure.
not the cue to clear off, I'm just saying. But thanks for coming, Darren. Thanks for the beers.
No worries. You know
They
that.
are hours they open.
Bring more beers for next
The
time you
wolf,
come.
well, it's the wolf pack, and I've just thought of you lot, the wolf pack.
Talk about that.
Just thought the wolf pack. Yeah.
Wolf pie, I was thinking U-boat.
And it's pink as well, it's just your colour.
And I thought that,
The eyes in the
I thought that said Flynny at first, and it says
Oh, I
Flint,
did.
Flint eye.
Eyes.
Flint eye. And what else have we
Who's
got?
brought the bass?
Level head.
Ah, no, that's from Derek Quinn, a former member of the Freddie and the Dreamers. Derek was the guy with the
glasses.
dark glasses and the blonde hair. Sadly departed. A lovely, lovely man. And Jackie, his wife, donated these for the Fred and Flynny show. And Flynny has kindly agreed to be test pilot for these that were last seen in 1977, totally
Like
unopened.
your wallet?
Yeah, totally unopened. And
Like
Flynny's
your
going to
wallet?
try them. So we're going to be drinking beer. Today we are mainly drinking beer, as is like nearly 60-year-old or whatever. How long will it be? 1977. Queen's Jubilee, wasn't it? 77.
They'll have been in the party setting then.
So it's 20.
Special bottle they made.
23.
Special
It's
bottle.
43 years. 43 years old, that beer that Flynny's
We'll
going
see how it
to
goes. We'll see how it goes.
We'll try it.
Okay, can we get on with the...
Yes.
Do we need a roll on the drums? Or,
And now, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard of him.
direct
You've
from
seen
Hollywood.
him.
Direct from
Star of
Hollywood.
stage, screen, radio, television, shipbuilders, abattoirs and knuckle yards, Mr. Buzz Hawkins! Hey!
I've just been sat in here listening to you lot and finding me level. I know where I am now. I know.
Is that
it's
high
like
or
home
low,
from
Buzz?
home.
Gutter,
Yes,
gutter.
home from home in the air raid shelter again. Yep, with the lads.
Yeah. A lot of you people know Buzz Hawkins as the man behind the Bradshaws. He also, it's easier to say what he can't do. He's a musician, a raconteur, a nostalgist. I don't know.
Can you just get through to Flynny as well? He's not the second man on the moon.
Oh, aye.
What?
No, this is Buzz Hawkins, not Buzz Aldrin.
Oh, Buzz Lightyear.
Can I add to that?
different
I've
one.
actually been introduced as Buzz Aldrin, Buzz Lightyear. The one I didn't get was Buzz Ticket, thank God. Right? But I've actually, the best one I've ever had was Biz Hawkwind. And I thought, shall I keep that one? Because that's special. Middleton Dyes and Polishers Social Club, that was, yeah, in 19 plonk.
We were supposed to be doing a gig at the Holy Family in Lee or Astley or somewhere a few years back. And I got admonished by the parish priest because there's a statue of Jesus, Mary and Joseph. I said, when did you have the Bradshaws on? I got a right telling off of the parish priest.
Buzz, could we ask you some questions?
Oh, go on, go on. I might not give you the answers,
I
but you
don't
know.
blame you. How did the Bradshaws come about?
Well, which version do you want?
The clean.
You want the stage version?
The Piccadilly version.
The Piccadilly radio version,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Because it does spin a bit. This tail, depending
know.
on, you know.
Depending who tells it.
Well, there I was back in the age of steam radio, and if I remember rightly, it was 1983. I was lucky. I'd been out to a folk club that night, and sat there in the audience at this folk club. It was at the Globe upstairs in Glossop, and sat in the audience were Mick Coleman and his brother.
Oh, yeah.
Matt
Tim.
Stockman and Matt
Yeah.
Stockcats and
Yeah, and I'd met them a few weeks before in where was it? Smile Studios in Wally Range.
Oh, yeah,
Remember
yeah.
that one?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, and I've met them there before. I said, "What are you doing tonight after the show?" He said, "Well, we're down at Piccadilly tonight because I've got a job down there." This is Mick Coleman talking. "I've got a job down there. I'm a night beat musician." "Oh, what's that then?" "Well, we just play half a dozen songs between 10 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the morning between records, and just to take the weight off the needle time records." So, okay, so great. I'll see you in the studio. No, he said, "You won't fancy coming down with me, would you?" So it's why? So because I've been there about 8 weeks, and I think
Is he
I've used
peeing
all
in the
my
sink?
material.
He's peeing in our sink, listen to him.
I've used all my material, he said, and I don't like repeating myself. So would you come down? Yeah, okay. I've got my guitar. It's in the car. It lives there. So I went down with them to Piccadilly Radio that night, and I was a guest of the guest musician.
Yeah.
And I sang a couple of songs. Gary Davis was the DJ.
Oh, wow.
Gary Davis.
Yeah, well,
All the way
that was
from
when he was-
Prestwich.
Yeah, that's when he was a good man as well. He was a
Oh,
good
yeah,
man.
yeah.
And I sang 2 or 3 songs, and I did all right. And it was a funny thing, but I got a phone call the following morning from Pete Johnson, Now, Pete Johnson was one of the engineers, chief engineer, I think he was at the time, and he was also responsible for nighttime productions.
Who was in charge then? Was it Colin Walters?
Colin Walters was
Yeah.
your man, yeah.
Yeah.
And anyway, he said to me, would you, he said, do you fancy doing this regular? I can give you a night or two. So I said, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, okay, thank you. So I got 2 of my own nights, so I did Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I've been there maybe 3 months, and I got another call from Pete Johnson who said, do you fancy doing the overnight, being the overnight producer? So what's a producer? He said, well, basically, take your guitar in, sing some songs on your guitar and the piano like you usually do, nothing different there, but we'll give you the library keys. So I said, well, what does that do? He said, well, that makes you the producer then. So when somebody wants a record, you go and find it, there you are.
Yeah.
So that was how I became a producer, believe
Right.
it or not. So
No, I
I got
believe
there,
that.
and they gave me 5 nights. So I did 5 nights. And at the time, and I'm feeling guilty while I'm telling you this now, at the time, I didn't feel guilty the fact that the other 4 regular night beat musicians were all suddenly sacked. Because I never saw them.
No,
'cause I'm
you
on a
pushed their
different night.
noses out.
So it was Mick Coleman that went.
Yeah.
What was he called? Tony Baker. Remember Tony Baker?
Remember Pete
Tony
Baker?
Baker wrote all the music for Phoenix Nights.
Oh, right, yeah.
And he now runs, I think he owns now, he runs the Dakotas now. And he owns the Dakotas name now.
Mike Maxfield's Dakotas.
Well, that's right, yeah, so Tony
That was
Baker.
with Pete McLean and
Yeah,
all,
he runs it. So he went. Who else was there? Howard Jones was there.
Oh, right.
So they let all these people go. And I had no guilt whatsoever. And I feel it now, but not them.
Yeah,
being
yeah.
an Ex-Catholic.
That's radio, though. You're
Radio,
always
yeah.
the last to
So
know.
it's gone. And, well, within a month or 2 of that, I realised very soon that the listeners I had could probably number on one hand, because it was in the middle of the night.
Sure, graveyard
Yeah, it
slot.
was graveyard slot, of course
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was. So my mum listened, I knew that.
Oh,
She had, well, she did. She'd been on the market when I'd done it a couple of months. She'd been to the market and she'd bought what she said was a pillow speaker. It was something you plugged into your tranny
Oh,
radio
lay on it and listen in
put
bed.
it under your pillow,
Yeah.
and you could lie there and sleep listening. So
Memoirs of Radio Luxembourg, yeah.
So she's listening to her eldest through the pillow.
Right.
All that. So I knew I've got an audience there. There's a couple of milkmen.
Was
security
your mum
guards.
anything like Audrey?
She was Audrey, basically. Most of it, yeah. Most of it was, yeah.
Oh.
Not quite. I mean, everything's exaggerated.
Well done,
but-
Billy, love. You know,
she-
you did lovely on
she
that
was-
programme.
yeah. Well, she got upset once or twice with me for some of the things, giving family secrets away. And I wasn't. She said it's
What, you had a white enamel
fictitious
bucket to
family.
save you going
She
down
said,
the
I know where
backyard?
you got that story from. Honest to God, she did. I did one story. 'Cause anyway, to finish with that question you were answering, I realised that I didn't have a big audience then, so I could change the rules. I didn't have to. I'll do something different. And I got the idea from the Tuesday night special which we had on there called Poets Corner. Poets Corner was when the DJ, whoever it was, Gary Davis or one of the others, Mike Day or somebody like that,
Oh, Mike, I remember Mike.
would announce, okay, at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, we've got tabletop scribblers. Phone us in, Poets Corner, and if you've got a poem you've written at home, and phone in, and you can read it on air, and the best gets a sweatshirt. That was when Piccadilly gave things away.
Yeah.
Right. So we did this every Tuesday, and it was great. And we'd all sit and pontificate round this green baize table, 4 or 5, whoever, newsroom lads and all the
Yeah.
rest of it, and sit there. And she'd phone up, and he'd phone up, and they'd read a poem, and we'd say, well, you've won tonight. We say, we vote for you, and you get a sweatshirt. And one night, the phone goes from the control room next door and says, oh dear, Marge is on the phone and she's written a poem. Marge. And I wasn't aware of Marge, but they all went, oh no, slash your wrist time, Marge. So Marge apparently used to phone in every night just for company, to talk to whoever's answering the phone, nothing
Sure,
else,
yeah.
right? But they seemed to all know her. And she was very sad and upset. She was always upset. But Jane or whoever was answering the phones would cheer her up.
Yeah.
So Gary said, put her on. She'd be great. She'd be great, different. So put her on. So we put her on, and I can remember to this day, and it's next year. It's 40 years, right?
I know.
I can remember this, the opening line of the poem, and at the time, it struck me as being the saddest thing I'd ever heard. Of course, everybody else laughed, and the line was, "I collect my tears in an aspirin bottle."
Oh,
Wow.
Deep.
And when I
sorry,
heard it then, my skin crawled down when I was
Sure,
telling it,
sure.
then everybody, whoa, 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 do all this sort of thing. So they sack her, they won't let her finish the pot. Well, they talked over her and laughed and everything. The phones lit up because the listener got very annoyed. How dare you do
Quite
that?
rightly too.
Marge, the lady had something to say. You lot couldn't do it. Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
Gary says, well, tomorrow we'll all come back and we'll have all written a poem. I was the only one that went back with a poem, right? You know what they like, these presenters. They've got somebody else's job all the time.
Yeah.
And I got in the car that morning of the Marge poem, and I put, I think it was Radio 2 on. It wasn't light programme then. Was it in '83? It was by then. It was Radio 2, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think Radio 2. I've put it on. I'm in the car. It's about 5:30 before the main day starts on the radio, and who is it? It's Stanley Holloway, Alfred, Albert and the Lion.
Yeah, with the horse's head angle.
Now there's a clue. There's an angle for me. I'm going to write a story, a poem, a monologue, same style as that, about a trip to somewhere, Blackpool, but I'm not going to tell it as a narrator like Stanley Holloway did.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell it in the characters' voices. I've made my mind up in the car driving home. Of course, then I'm going to get an hour's sleep, aren't I, before I'm doing it all again. And I have to write this. But I think, what have you done? Because I need 3 characters now, and where am I going to get them from at this time of the day? I get in at the night. I've written the poem. I've tested it. I go in the library, because with my keys, don't forget. I've got keys
you're
now
the
for
producer.
library, being the producer. Power. So I've got in there. And I'm practising. And I get Billy, because he's like up in my range. And I've got Alf, because I can get down to the bottom, because I've been a singer for forever. And then Audrey had to really work on Audrey. And Audrey changed over a few months as I gradually got the feminine side of me to come through. I went back in. Gary says, what's happening? I said, on my next call, this time I wanted to, and I give him a track, an album, and it was Bessies of the Barn, brass band.
Yeah.
I said, do me a favour, track 3, slide this in underneath, like that, and just bring the bed down, and I'll talk over it for this monologue. Then at the end, if there's any left, bring the track up. Take me out. And I did that afterwards. So he did that, the phones lit up, and it went. I can remember.
You're clearing his throat now, watch this.
Yeah, but long COVID this. Yeah, I didn't have to clear my throat.
He's got long COVID.
More than they ever did.
We didn't get that before we started that kissing, you and me.
That's what it was. No more snogging then. So, so it went. Alf, love, shall we take the lad to Blackpool? It's raining. Well, it might be sunny there. We'll take the flask and plastic cups. We're going out to the other end away from fair.
Dad, can I wind the window down and watch the smoke come from the funnel?
No, lad.
Why, it's not cold.
And it was all about the smoke will come in the funnel and all that went on. It lit up, the switchboard lit up, do another one. Well, I haven't got another one, so I'll do one tomorrow. So I finished up over the period of, God knows, 7 or 8 years, writing 700 of these. And then eventually I permed them to 300 because radio stations were driving me mad, phoning me the day before and saying, we need a story for tomorrow. For tomorrow? Yeah, why didn't you tell me last week? Well, can't you get us one? So it was killing me.
Sure.
So I thought, I know what I'm going to do now. And I got the 700, rewrote them for 300, published them as a 25 CD set anyway. So that was the businessman side of me sorted out.
Up until this point, it all voluntary that you'd done? No payment?
Yeah. No payment whatsoever, no. But, yes, and I thought, how clever were you there? Smart for a kid from Beswick. I'd got the call to do daytime within about 2 years to go on as producer on Daytime Piccadilly.
Right.
So I was Morning Secrets producer. Mark Radcliffe was afternoon producer.
That's right, yeah.
So, and the then producer said, well, when you come, what I want you to do, we'll pay you this. I said, I'm not going cards in. I don't do cards in because I do gigs and everything like that. Yeah. So we did it as a subcontractor, if you like, if you like, sole proprietor. I went in there and I became producer, and he says, but you'll produce these programmes for the morning segment, do your little bits and pieces in between time. Any ideas you've got, run them by me first with nobody else, and secondly, bring the Bradshaws. So I said, OK. And with the Bradshaws, if you bring the Bradshaws, we'll pay you for each episode. So I said, all right, so what you pay me? He said, we'll give you £5 an episode. What? I said, no, £5? Really? Yeah. Yeah. Thinking he's made me an offer I can't refuse. An offer I can't understand. So I said, no, I'll tell you what, I'll do it for nothing. I'll bring them for free. But you do me a bit of business and we'll sell the cassettes, because there were cassettes, as you know, on front of house, and I'll give you 20%. Yeah, okay. So they think they're getting material for free and they're going to make some money on the door. Well, by then I'd made the first cassette. There's only 6 stories on it.
Yeah.
And and this was like 4 months before Christmas, so I got my finger out and I got a pack of 6 together, so with a lot of stories on, and we sold them front of house, and they were queuing off the top, Piccadilly Landing, down the escalator stairs to the bottom for days and days to buy Bradshaw's cassettes.
How did you feel about that?
I couldn't believe it. I absolutely couldn't believe it. And then Colin Walters saw his backside and called me in the office. He said, "You're taking the piss." I said, "No, no." "Why?" He said, "Look at all the money you're walking out of in here." It's all cash then. There was no cards, was
But
there?
that was the
It
agreement.
was all cash. And I was going home at the end of the day with a big sack of money like this. We're only getting 20%. I said, "You don't do anything. We give you Pat Broom to sell them at the door." I said, "Well, no." So he said, "Well, you're going to have to discuss this now, otherwise we'll take them off." So I said, "Take them off." So within a few days, I've put the word out and got a call from 5 Live, BBC 5 Live, which had just gone live then. Can we use your Bradshaws on a couple of shows in the evening, early evening? So yeah, go on.
And you'd get paid as a contributor.
Yeah, and I still keep the product.
Of course you do.
Still got the licence.
Yeah,
I'm not
it's your
giving them
name.
anything. Absolutely. So I did that, and within a few days of that happening, when they started to do it, Colin Walters calls me in again. He said, "You can't do this." So what's this can't thing? 1, I don't work for you, I work with you. 2, I'm paying you, or I have been paying you, because they still hadn't taken them off by then, because we were still making the 20%. You can't put them on there if they're a rival station. I said, "No, they're not. 5 Live is a sports station." And I've spoken to you, Mike Briscoe, your programme controller. at the
Sadly
time.
passed now, Mike.
Lovely man. And he said, "It's not competition. You're a radio station doing what you do, pop, wanting to be Radio 1, and your radio, and they're Radio 5 Live. And
Not a
doing sport.
conflict
It's
of interest.
No conflict at all." "Well, we're not having this now." So right, well, I'm pulling it then. Next thing, I've got a phone call, a screaming match phone call from the chief eggs, the CEO, whose name I can't remember now. Neil somebody or other Jones, was it Neil Jones?
At Piccadilly.
Yeah.
Doesn't ring a bell. Tony Ingham was...
It wasn't Tony. No, it wasn't Tony.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Tony, no. And he went berserk on the phone. I said, "What? What's going on? You can't hear We Are Piccadilly Radio." "No, what's going on?" "Whoa, okay." And I was glad I was out then. But thankfully, I'd made the best decision I'd ever made, and that was refusing money from Piccadilly for the Bradshaws. Because they kept me going.
1, Piccadilly.
So, yeah, it was a great station though, wasn't it?
It was.
I love that station.
I must admit, I
Fabulous
used to listen
station.
to it. But I always thought that the Bradshaws was Phil Wood.
Bless him.
Yeah, I always thought it was Phil Wood doing all the voices. I didn't realise, because the first time you and I met was in 1985. It was in Romley. It was with Martin Duffy, who used to present Scramble, and this is your on a wheelchair, paraplegic, and he presented with Dr. Michael Winstanley, who, funnily enough, Darren, is the father of Russ Winstanley, who opened Wigan Casino. And we were talking, and I said to you, I said, "My mum loves you." I said, just like Bill McLaughlin's missus said to you before, she loves the Bradshaws. And you did a thing for me about my mum. Barmy Mix was a well-known trader, and his house had burnt down on Bury New Road, his warehouse. It was an old billiard hall, and all the neighbours were going in, getting Margot's shampoo and Brill cream and all that lot, and they were all going in, getting gear. And I told you about my mum coming down, and all her frock, she was sliding down the first floor window, and all her frock got, and she had them knee-length knickers on, and you put a little tape together for me with Billy Bradshaw saying, "Oh, I believe she's a criminal, Mary." And I played it with Mum, and honest to God, she wet herself. And she called out, "Listen to this, what Buzz Hawkins has done." And that was the first time we'd ever met, and that was about 1985. And I said to you then, "How long are you going to go on with this Bradshaw's caper? It's brilliant." And you said to me, I'll probably get another year out of it at
I
best.
remember that conversation. I remember thinking that, really.
And that
did.
was 40 odd years ago, that Buzz, and you're still doing it.
Scary.
Still making them laugh. Go
I
on,
think
Buzz.
a great deal of the beauty of the Bradshaws is, I think everybody can identify
Of course they can.
with a character, or you might even know someone in your own family. You think, that's my mum, that, or somebody else's son, do you mean?
Yeah, Molly is Audrey.
Mum would be like
It's
that.
not surprising, really. All my life.
Do you think it's a very northern thing? Are we,
No,
are we
no.
warmer,
I
or-
thought that, and it transpired to Newcastle.
Oh, it's massive. up
I
there
know,
now.
because in Newcastle they
not.
call the mother
gonna say,
mam,
that's
like
not
we
one
do
north
in
way.
Salford, mam.
It's still
The
not.
posh ones call them mum, but we call them mam. And I thought, how's the Bradshaws going to transpire? There's some bloody Geordies over there, man.
Is it
But
Wales?
Well, it surprised me when it happened, that. But anyway, back to your question first. It's not it don't surprise me that you can relate to it, because that's what I wanted anyway. But I've collected things people say and things people do in notebooks all my working life,
Your little
all
black
the
book
time.
in your back pocket and your pencil.
I love Dickens. I listen to Dickens on my audio books. I read him every day when I can, when I'm working on something else, because his descriptions and his characters.
Are you talking now about Boz Hawkins?
Not quite, but very good. Yeah. So I can't take any credit for the idea of writing about other people, but all I do is not document, but I write them down for me, little notes. She said, they said, we said, and all I do then is put them into a fictitious setting. The characters, Alf, Audrey, and Billy, and Uncle Wally Womball, and Father Fanakapan, and all
Auntie
the others
Pamela.
in there, Auntie Pamela,
With the knitted swimming trunks.
That's right, yeah. And Miss Funny Fanny.
From James Bond.
Yeah. But they're all people we've all met. I feel they are, and all they just. It's like looking at life through a magnifying glass. That really is, and it's a dream to do.
Hawkins talking isn't a miracle. You were in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely right.
That's how it
and
works.
It just needs must.
Do people, and I've seen you a few times live, I remember a lady in the audience saying to me, where are they? The Bradshaws. She was mislaboured apprehension to be Alf.
I was out doing my little
Billy.
bits of comedy, because I'm back on the road again now. Initially I'm doing...
COVID knocked you sideways, yeah?
Oh, yeah. It took me, but I got my big project sorted.
Good lad.
So I made the 2 years, but by then I was climbing the walls by then. Because I've been pro since I was 21.
Yeah.
And you miss people, don't you? It must have been awful fun. I don't know how people cope with it, really. I got away with it because I get lost in my work. But then you put your head up over the parapet, and then there's the world again, and you can't talk to anybody, you can't feel anybody.
And the funerals that people
it was
couldn't
awful,
attend.
Yeah, it was awful, but I made the most of that. So when I came out of it, I wanted to get back on the road as fast as I could, because I could feel I was getting a bit fed up. I mean, almost depressed with it. Bad dreams and all that kind of stuff. And I thought, what's the matter with me? I'm an optimist, it's my life. But I think it was just that not... There's nobody saying, that's good, I like that. There's nobody reassuring me.
No sounding board.
There's no reassurance, is there, that you're okay.
Yeah.
That you're
The timing
worth
goes,
something.
doesn't it? Like if you're working, if you're doing it all the time, suddenly when you've got just all day to do anything, and then another all day, and then another all day, before you know it, your routine goes, doesn't it?
Yeah. But I need selfish... People have got to reassure me that I'm worth something.
You're a lovely looking boy, Buzz.
Hang on, you're not getting paid. You're not getting paid for this, is
No, he's a lovely looking
I was
fellow.
my ginger beer.
No, I know what you mean. It's Ken Dodd once said to me, and I used this recently, it's great to be appreciated. And I thought about that.
When I've watched your stuff, don't mind me saying, when I've watched this programme so many times, what you should have is a little bell, and every time somebody drops a name, ding it.
Oh, it'd be like an alarm bell with
You
it.
never saw it.
It'd be always on it.
There's a running joke here, Buzz. It's long COVID.
Really, go on.
Ding.
Who else is this?
Kitching.
What are the kids? In fact, we called it, in between ourselves, Fredfield the Bingo.
Yeah.
Words come
Take
up.
me wallet. Take me
Yeah.
wallet.
Yeah, that was what it was.
So they'd take the rip out of something awful.
Jimmy Savile, ching. That would be a famous neck, ching. And it'd be like... It was only light-hearted, wasn't it?
No, you meant it, you and Carl. You really meant
We've
it.
got a big,
Meant it, they play it.
we've got a big whiteboard as well, haven't we? And we stamp them off of it. Honestly, we did that show the other week that we did when it wasn't live and we pretended it was.
Oh yeah.
I was going to add a little counter in the corner. Every time there was a ka-ching, I was going to put a little counter in it, a gulp and go ka-ching.
Yeah, but there's only us know about it.
Oh, don't know.
Don't know. They don't know as well as we know.
Is that git still going on about long COVID?
Yeah.
It does.
I hope you never get it, Flynny, that's all.
I've had it.
Because you
I've
have your
had
ex,
it.
you've not had long COVID, you're only playing at it.
That's
Me and Buzz
it.
are real.
You've had
Oh,
long
there we
COVID.
go.
short
Do you know if he
COVID,
doesn't
medium
sing
COVID.
every day,
Yeah.
he finds it hard with his chest exercises and diaphragm. He can't get the song out. If he doesn't sing every day, you dry up. Am I right?
Yeah.
And this is one of the side effects of long COVID. There are 206 different
I've
symptoms.
done programmes about the effects of long COVID. I do know it exists.
The only chest
And-
exercise that I know is Barbara Windsor.
Oh, now she
I'd
can.
like to.
Carry on
I'd like
camping.
to.
Yeah,
I'd like
I must.
to.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, Buzz? Well, he went to Granada, didn't it? And they made was it a 10-part series?
Yeah, that was a fascinating time. That I don't know if I've got time to tell you that story. It's
Fire
fascinating.
away, Buzz.
Well, I got the post Piccadilly because I was still producing downstairs until about 91, 92. Downstairs being the big house, and I always think of the night time being upstairs. It wasn't. It was the same
Yeah.
floor, but it
Yeah,
feels
yeah.
like it was upstairs, up in the attic, out of the way. Right.
So was you still working at Piccadilly even though the Bradshaws weren't on the Piccadilly?
I'd left by then. By the time it left, which was early 90s, 91, 92, it was about 92, I think, by the time I'd moved out, and it had gone on to 5 Live, and I started getting phone calls from different radio stations, I believe you're not with, because by then it had won for the station Best Use of Comedy on Radio with Sony Awards twice, 2 years on the run.
Big thing in radio, Sony.
Yeah, it was
Awards.
massive. It was absolutely massive, and it was like I wasn't. Back to your question, just a little bit on the Phil Wood thing. This is where it started to ring home to me. I'm in this room, in whichever fantastic, gracious hotel that London throws at you, where you can spend fortunes, or whoever does. You're all on white tablecloths and you're doing all this. And they've got Mark Knopfler and people like that presenting the prizes for the Sony Awards. And I'm on a little table. I've got Timmy Mallet there, who had been producing, and he was up for a prize. I was there as being the producer of the Bradshaws. No,
With
no
your library
voices
key.
or anything else. But just the producer of the Bradshaws. And I think there was about 5 or 6 of us on that table. And I looked around and I thought, nobody knew me at all. Just apart from my table knew me. When they talked about the Bradshaws, it was the Bradshaws were completely different. They were separate. The Bradshaws existed on their own, even though they're a fictitious family.
Sure.
So I wasn't a part of it, and nobody. So when they called me up, I could almost hear, bloody hell, so, well, which one does he do? And I still get that in the clubs now.
Yeah.
Recently, some of the companies, I heard them saying, which one does he do? I've actually heard, he looks bigger on the wireless. Honest to God. But yeah, going back to Woody, who I love dearly, and I owe him, I'll tell you why I owe him, because he was a real taskmaster. He cracked the whip. When I was producing the overnight shows, I'd start at 10 and work through till 6 and I'd have James H. Reeve, I might have Timmy Mallet for a while, and then I'd get whoever was doing the night programme as well, and it was a variety of them, and I'd be working for all of them and doing voices of different characters, bringing little bits of comedy into all the programmes. I felt like that was my role there. Woody tried, I was warned that he'll burn you out when he got demoted. And he fought his way back, as you know. He fought his way back, but at the time there was a fallout somewhere. So he finished up and they gave him to me. And greedy, after every third record, can we have a phone call? Who are we having now? Can we have a father? Father for Nakapan. Hello there, every flock of brethren. Ha ha! I'm here in the parapet. Did you know there's an old saying that goes, don't go off the stage, Mrs. Worthington, because it's... Don't put your daughter on the stage, Mrs. Worthington, because she's fat as a duck and she'll probably go through it. But I'd set that up and I'd go running off to the back of but he was doing it to me all the time.
Yeah.
Give me a Ronnie the Bin, give me this, give me that, Nigel the washing line walker, and all these, all the time. So I'm running round to the karting booth, which is at the back, the only small room. There's a landline in there, a phone. And then I'm going to stand in there until he phones me. And by then, for Father Fanakapan, for instance, I'd have an album out of my library with the keys, and I'd put it on, and it'd be Jesu, Man's Desire, that song.
Yeah.
In the background, like it's in the church, like that. And he'd phone me up and he'd say, Woody is saying, his fabulous voice, "Hello, is that the Father, please?" "Hello!" And it was all that. With this music going on in the background.
Yeah.
But I hadn't written anything by the time he told me. So I'm then going like this, and he's going to phone me any second. And then, I don't know whether it's a skill that I learned or whether I had it anyway. But it's like, and other people will have this, it's when you become, no you don't become, you hand over to whatever else it is, whoever else it is, what other personality is doing this. So I would consciously say, over to you, I haven't written this, it's over to you, Father. And it became the Father. And the same was with all the Bradshaws. What would Billy say? It wasn't a case of that. It was like, answer it. And Billy would answer, or Ronnie the Bin. Is that Ronnie the Bin? Tell the listener where you are. Hey, I'm in a drawer downstairs. What have I got in my hand? So, and it was a tramp, right? And it was of that. And it was a bit touchy, you know? A bit, you know. And then, can we have a Nigel? Oh, God, a Nigel, bloody hell. Okay. More music in the background and set it up again. I'm in the karting booth. Phone goes. Is that Nigel? Yes, it is. Tell the what are you doing? Paint the picture for us. Tell them about your new skill. Well, I've just got the watching line fastened to the top of the front door and up to the top of the balcony, right, up to the top of the banister, right, and I'm learning to tightrope walk from up here in the out. What, is your house a big house? Well, it's a two down, it's very big up, you can't reach the top windowed. So, but how are you speaking to them on the phone? Well, I've got one of them newfangled teletape to my head, right? So you paint a picture, and and I can see Nigel with the head out. He's got a phone fastened to his head. He's sellotape on it like this. Well, who's assisting you? Oh, he don't. He's there. You all right there? Say hello to Mr. Wood. I'm honest to God, but I have because of the Woody years.
Yeah.
I've got such a wealth of material for other things, you know, because you're forced to write it. So thank you, Woody, for that, even though you were a bit of a git about it.
Let me take you back even further. You were on Opportunity Knocks with a band, and we've done this. I used to
again every time he turns up at the shows and shouts this from the
I used to heckle from the audience.
Can we have a kitchen?
Yeah. Hey, Buzz, tell them about the time you were on Opportunity Knocks with that band of yours, Socrates. It wasn't Socrates, Fielder, it was Socrates. Yeah, tell them who knocked you out, Buzz. Who knocked you out eventually? Go on, tell them. Buggered off, Fielder. I'll tell them then. It was Bobby Crush.
Now, how did you get on with Huey Green? Because I've had a few stories about Huey Green.
He was fine.
Was
Honest
he?
to God, I had no problem with him whatsoever.
Anything contractual that should you make it big, you had to pay a certain percentage?
Part of the Huey Green thing was that we signed contracts with Decca.
Right, okay.
Before the programme.
Right.
So he was obviously
First pick.
in cahoots and shaking hands with
Yeah.
the people who were buying in for the record company. So the band was a three-piece, and we'd gone in there and it was a fairy tale at... It felt like a fairy tale at the big venue in Manchester where they were doing the auditions. There were hundreds of would-bes in there, hundreds. Yeah. Everybody in their corner with a guitar or a flute, or the girls were practising the dancing in the corners, you can imagine. Hundreds of them, honestly, in this big space. I can't remember what it was called. It was a ballroom. Was it a big ballroom down in...
Not the Ritz.
In where?
It was a Ritz.
Yeah,
Ritz.
Whitworth Street.
It was, yeah. So we're in the corner there. I contrived to, when we worked, there was three of us. So there was me singing and playing guitar. There was my brother playing flute and guitar and everything else.
Was this Ronnie?
Aaron, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And there was Terry on bass. So, and I'm thinking, I hadn't done TV or anything up to that. That was 72, that was 72. And I hadn't done anything like that. But you think a little bit ahead about this. And I'm thinking, well, if they're looking for something visual, as they are, the psychology of it is, they're not booking me to do a show. They're looking for television.
Don't you?
Well, you do, you pick it up, don't you?
Carl, let the cat out, will you?
Yeah.
Let it
It's
red
not
out.
even moving.
He keeps meowing as you're coming across and everyone thinks it's you, Buzz.
Is it me?
Yeah, is he gone?
No, he's here.
Yeah.
He's here. Go on out. No, he's my friend, aren't you, Chuck?
He's only got 3 legs, Butch.
Is he really?
Butch.
I've not got a spare. No, go on.
No, he's a 3-legger, he's a Manx cat.
Is it called Jake?
Make a noise
Red.
like a tin of kit.
Jake the Peg. Yeah.
So anyway, I'd contrived this little visual so that we were singing. I had 3 of my songs that we were going to do for the audition if we ever got past the first one.
Right.
And we asked for 3 stools. Can we have 3 stools, please? 3 tall stools. And the look on the faces when I asked for that.
Who do you think you are?
No, it was like, oh, this is interesting. Because they're thinking telly, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
They're just thinking. I wasn't thinking like that at the time. I just thought it'll look cool, you know, like you do with rock and roll.
Cool on a stool.
Yeah. So we did this first one, and we got off the stage, or started to get off the stools and the stage, like everybody else did, and walk away ready for the next one. And a girl come up, a runner come up, and said, "Please, Mr. Green, won't you just stay there for a moment now?" So they've got this table. It's a bit like this, only with 20 people on it.
Yeah.
Right across the middle of the Ritz ballroom floor, with the panel on, or whether they are, Huey Green and the cohorts all there, having a discussion. And then he says, "Could you do that one again, please? And would you mind if we tape it so we can give it further thought?" I thought, it's happening. Something's happening now. Mm-hmm. So we did the same one again. Dearest Agnes, it was the song. And
what was the song called?
Dearest
Agnes.
Your own composition, is it?
Yeah. And then he came, stopped me again. By now, the murmur in there, the rest of them, the hatred, I could feel it, honest to God. Really? You could just honestly. So we did a different call, Mama's Cooking, we did. And then Royston Mayo.
Oh, yeah.
Royston Mayo.
Yeah, still around, goes to Wooden
He
Up
was
Club.
the director.
Oh, nice fella. All in black.
Yeah, lovely fella. And he came up and he said, "Right, thanks a lot." He said, "Just meet me over there in the corner." So the 3 of us go over there. He said, "I'm going to do I've only ever done this once before in all the years I've been directing this programme. I've only ever said this once, and that was to Mary Hopkins.
Those were the days.
I can give you your date for your first programme." And he gave me the date that day.
How do you
You
feel
know,
about that?
you feel like, oh God, I was going to fall
Yeah,
over.
yeah.
It was just
Overwhelmed.
Absolutely, yeah. So the rest was just a dream.
You've brought your guitar today, haven't you?
I have brought my guitar.
Are you going to give us a number?
Eventually, yeah.
Oh, okay, whenever you're ready.
Would it be... How can I put
Is it presumptuous that bringing the guitar? I don't
No,
know.
so
Anyway,
I'd love you to. You know what sketch I'd love you to do, but whether or not you do it in front of the camera.
do a chorus. Yeah,
Good lad, good lad.
This is a compliment, believe it or not, Buzz. Going back to the
You sound like
80s.
that's not
No.
doesn't come natural.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't really. I can mention the lad now, he's dead. Dave Flaherty, a lovely lad, but he had a penchant for stealing things that weren't his, and he was in strange ways. And he used to write to me, and he said, "You won't believe it, Flynny, on our wing," he says, "at night," he said, "we all listen to that, a bloke called Buzz Hawkins, have you heard of him? And you were a big favourite in Strange Ways at night." No,
Well, there you go.
The lights go off, and they're all just sat
So
there.
now that was when I found my level. Yeah.
The friend of the recidivists.
No, I thought it was...
Well, no,
that's
it's
a
lovely, that.
compliment,
That is, of course it is, yeah.
I think the crew wardens enjoyed it because the wing was quiet.
Yeah.
Well, listening to his
Oh, good
good
stuff,
self.
Yeah, left them contented, that's good.
That's lovely.
It's like therapy, isn't it? If they like something, it's calming, they keep quiet. You know?
Good dopamines and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, doping.
And as Alf would say, so you should know, Audrey, about dopamines.
And the other question I was going to ask you, but I know it's a bit odd. I remember watching the Royal Family when it first started. I thought, hang on a minute, some of these characters ringing a bell here with me. Now, I don't know if I've got an over vivid imagination. The police said they had, but it was glaringly obvious, I think, then, who was who to a degree. Would I be right in saying that, or am I completely off kilter?
It's flattering that you do. I'm glad that you do. I remember I didn't see it come on. I didn't see it start. I was unaware because I was busy doing whatever else it was I was doing. What year was that? Was it
Early to mid 90s, wasn't it?
That was the time of the roof riots when they were throwing all the...
No, the Royal Family means.
Oh, right.
About 93, wasn't it?
I think it might have been I don't know if it was later than that, because I think I'd already done that Granada television series by then.
Yeah, I
thought, no, I'd have.
I
can't remember now,
tell us.
whatever the year was. But yeah, I'd gone out to this this venue, they told you about it, the Broad Oak.
Yeah,
in Ashton, where the
Ashton,
jazz night was.
With Bill Tarmy.
Bill Tarmy was there as ever. And we had a chat, and he asked me a strange question. I didn't understand what he was talking about. He said, "How do you feel about that?" I said, "What?" And it was the night of the broadcast of the first Royal Family programme.
Right.
So, about what? He said, "The Royal Family." I said, "Well, somebody died." No, it's
Royale.
it's a programme that's on there. He said, "Watch it." He said, "I'm afraid it's going to upset you." He said it's blatant. So I didn't understand it. Anyway, I watched it and my heart sank. I thought it was over. I honestly thought my career was the Bradshaws end of it. I'd have to come up with something else, because it's been done now, and it's been done big style with them.
Full production.
And basically, and I understand how it happened, and I'm flattered that they used it to step off, if you like. It is flattery, that, but whether they did or not, I'll just give you a little bit of background to that.
Did it damage your career, though?
No, it didn't, to be honest. I really thought it would. It damaged me confidence for quite a long time. Yeah, because I didn't know what I would do next. I'd have to come up with some fresh stuff. But I thought it, and one or two other people were making comments about it, but I refused. I was, no, don't talk to me about it. Don't talk to me about it. It just upsets me. Don't talk about it. And I realised what had happened. Only a few months before, I was doing some production work for Granada Studios, for Granada Television Satellite, the satellite division there. And I was producing programmes like Fufu Lamar's Biog, and a new series of the comedians for them. And while I was there in that building, which used to be in the old schoolhouse.
Yeah, and Granada.
Right, yeah.
Remember it well. Got a few pints in there.
I got a call, and somebody says, could you pop over to the big house, over to the main Granada television?
Soundstage 2.
So I said, yeah, okay. So I went over to the reception, and the guy said, well, do us a favour, just hang on here now, because Henry Normal's coming down.
Oh, yeah. Henry
Normal was there with Craig Cash and Carolyn Ahern and all the other people that were writing this series. I didn't know what they were doing. And he says, Carolyn's in, when he came down, he said, Carolyn's here. She's a big fan of the Bradshaws. You've not got any cassettes or anything with you, have you? So I said, yeah, I've got some. I always keep some in the car just in case. Yeah, pop over. So we walk over to the car park, and I gave him the 2 6-packs that I'd done, 1 to 6 and 7 to 12, and I gave him the 2 cassette packs. And that was the end of it. I forgot no more. I just thought, oh, Carolyn Ahern likes it. Wow, by then she's doing Mrs. Merton and all that kind of thing. I thought, well, yeah, that's good. That's flattery. And I was really thrilled to bits with that. I thought no more about it until that day when Bill Tarmy said that. And I watched it and I realised what had happened. They were inspired, and I'll leave it at that. Should we say that?
Yeah.
Bill Tarmy played with a straight bat, and if he said that he felt that it was plagiarised, I agree with him.
What do you think Alf would have said?
Bloody chances.
How did Bill
But
Tarmy
that's only
score?
Alf. That's not necessarily me. But no, I'm not. At the time, I was upset more than anything else. I'm not resentful about it, because it's not done me any harm, actually.
When Bernard Manning appeared on a programme, they ripped into him, her and Richard Wilson,
They did
and
a
they
job
gave
on
him
him.
some rights. They did a job on him exactly like that. And
They had the writers downstairs, you know.
I believe so.
Well, and she's got an earpiece in.
Of course she has.
And they were setting her up with the next question.
Baiting it. Of course they were. Anyway, shortly after that, she attempted suicide, Caroline Ahern.
Did she?
Honest?
Well, I'm not really talking
No,
that,
she
do
did.
we? I know,
She
we don't need to
did.
go
No,
into
let me
it, though, do we?
finish. And Bernard Manning sent her a letter. Better luck next time, love.
because she was salvaged from a, you know.
Really?
Yeah,
Did
she
it?
tried to commit suicide.
Wow.
And then Bernard's response was, better luck next time, love. Because that ripped him apart. Her and Richard Wilson and Esther Ranson and all these other
nasty,
do-gooders.
that. Bit nasty.
Well, there you go. It was a bit nasty doing what they did to him.
I know, but Manning's big enough to take it on the chin. And he wouldn't argue me with Manning. He just ripped his shreds, wouldn't he? And I'm sure he was restrained on that show.
He actually, I've watched that through, and I thought he'd give as good as he got. I thought he was brilliant.
I think he lost it towards the end. He started to get annoyed.
Yeah,
He started talking about his Rolls Royce and what he owned and that.
annoyed.
It's a very easy target.
You lose it.
It's just an easy target. If you went on that show, I think you must have known you're going to get a bit of grief.
It's like
The
she said
millionaire thing.
to Judy, what's his face that married, what first attracted you to the millionaire Paul Daniels?
It was a funny line.
McGee.
That's it. What did I call her?
Judith
I
Chalmers.
got long COVID, sorry.
Oh, James.
Debbie McGee then, yeah. And she comes on now selling your funeral plans. When I'm gone, what are you going to think of me? Film star? Dancer? Singer? And I thought, I don't think anything of you. I think you just assisted Paul Daniels, and not a lot.
I've heard some stories about her. I'll tell you.
No, tell us now, Flynny. Give us the
Not
dirt.
like you. No, I'll tell you later. So, Buzz, your career's now back in orbit and trajectory.
Yeah, it's good.
Where are you touring, playing?
It's good. Well, I tried to set up a tour during the COVID spell, and it wasn't that the people I spoke to, the fans and all the rest.
Flogging a dead horse,
They would say we'll turn up.
Yeah.
We'll all go, fine. But then I was talking to the people who supposedly run the theatres.
Yeah.
And they, well, she's not in. She only does Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Doris does Thursdays, but she's not well with it. And everything was COVID, everything. I couldn't get them to answer questions. I couldn't get contracts and terms and conditions or anything like that. So I had to pull it, and I had a 20 dates set up for it, and it was frustrating. So I'm setting one up for next year now to come on the back of this book. I'm going to use that to
I was going to say you write a book as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm thrilled to bits with that. I'm really enjoying that. Yeah,
You got a working title for it?
it's called Just Horsing About.
I like that.
And it's tied up with the fact that the actual plot's a simple one. Billy's school panto, or he's getting ready for school panto.
The nativity.
And yeah.
Nativity,
And Miss Funny Fanny and all the rest of it. So there's just, she's not really called that, but
No,
I've
she's
called
doing
her
an
that.
audio book
I've
of it.
called her that. I'm doing one.
Oh,
I'm
great.
doing one. Can I read you a little bit?
Please.
Oh, no, I'll tell you what. You keep talking. Well, I'm sure they will keep talking.
yeah.
I'll
love audio books.
It's on my iPad. Right.
I'll get the...
Darren, tell us about your first love affair. Was it serious?
No, it wasn't. It was.
I think you asked me
It was
this question
actually.
3 years
It was
ago.
up the moss in a barn.
Not near here.
I
I hope you've not defiled this area with your wanton, winsome way.
No, it was up Irlam way.
Was ya?
Carnal Designs.
Isn't it opportune though? You're here today talking about Irlam Live and Buzzy's next to you and all the rest of it. Who knows what
Well,
may
you
come
know,
of
you're
this?
doing all the voices. I've watched Good Morning Vietnam, and Robin Williams, and it was.
Oh,
I just think spectacular.
Yeah, we know where he ended up, though, don't
Can
we?
I-
We know
Ah,
that.
topped himself,
no,
didn't he?
Can
But
I
it was
just hazard a
brilliant.
guess here, Buzz? I bet you're a fan of Frank Randall.
Oh, loved him. Yeah.
Hey,
The number of
Loved him.
times I mentioned
Clever,
Randall.
clever.
I'm a member of his fan club.
So the
Once
old-
a year we go to the grave in Blackpool, tidy it up, put a can of beer down for Frank.
Yeah. Oh, clever stuff.
What's his
You
real
learn a lot
name?
from the
Really?
old that team? You really learn.
What's
a lot
his
from
real
them.
name?
I don't know.
Randall's.
know.
I'm kind of off, should know.
Go on,
I do
what is
know
it?
Do you know how old he was when he died?
Only young.
57.
What's your real?
In Carlton Cemetery he's
Carlton,
buried.
yeah.
And his real name's Frank McAvoy.
McAvoy, yeah.
And his son Arthur McAvoy was an accomplished artist.
Arthur Delaney.
Arthur Delaney, yeah.
Some say it's not, and some say it is.
Well, you
But
always
the
believe
Randall,
people.
the genius. I recommend highly, if you're a fan of Randall, read a book called Wired to the Moon. Walks and all. Beautiful book.
He went in with a crate of Guinness and a shotgun. And the audience was out and they were all performing, rehearsing on stage in Blackpool. And he hired a plane and bombarded Blackpool Tower with toilet rolls.
Bombarded.
And he said to the mayor, "Is this your wife?" And he said, "Yeah." And he said, "That's your so-and-so fault," didn't he?
He did.
He never pulled any punches,
They
Frank.
did
Randall.
put an advert in the paper, in Blackpool Gazette, whatever the newspaper was, saying a chauffeur bricklayer wanted. The paper, he explained to the press that he was quite blunt about it, so they got pissed Monday to Friday. Sorry, I get drink all the time, and he says, Saturday's the chauffeur's day off, I get pissed again and knock my garden wall down, so he's got to come in and build it. What a guy.
And then the accident on the Blackpool prom, where he had an accident, he was doing his own defence in court, and he said the man made no attempt whatsoever to avoid me. He come straight at me, and he said, Mr. Randall, it was a tram driver.
He was great.
I liked him. Flynny's idol. He loves
He
him.
is my idol.
Yeah.
What have you got for us?
Right, I'll just read you. I'll
please.
stop when I've not
No, you
timed this,
carry
I've not
on.
looked at it or anything. I just happen to be reading through it while I continue the work tomorrow. I need a brass band to set me up though. No, let me give you the tune. Let me give you the tune. Together.
All things bright and beautiful.
Fading away now. Yeah. We're just short of a euphonium or a tuba. Who can do?
I could play E flat
There's
euphonium.
the thing.
Fred, are you okay? Do you need an ambulance?
A what?
Oh, sorry, I thought you was having a bit.
Right. We'll just give it that again and then fade it away when I'll conduct you, right? So fading away. If you were to look out from the inside of the Ferguson radiogram in the corner of this particular 2 up, 2 down terraced house, say through the speaker grill on the front, your view would be of a kitchen table pushed up against the wall to your left. Covering the tabletop, you would see spread out sheets of newspaper with damp patches still being dripped on from above. Looking upwards, above the table to the source of the drips, you would see hanging from a clothes rack suspended from the ceiling a jumble of wet washing featuring large and small socks and underpants, a well-worn string vest, a tea towel with an iron-shaped scorch on it, a blue-grey lightly striped collarless shirt used for work as indicated by the unmatched shirt buttons and frayed cuffs, plus a large, NB not huge, pair of ladies' knickers.
Hang on, this is Tony's kitchen, this.
At the 3 available sides of the table are 3 wooden chairs. The chairs at the ends of the table have been tucked in snugly under the table and have small stacks of folded washing items on them. The other chair is occupied. Audrey Bradshaw makes a loop in the strand of navy blue wool that she's threaded through the corners of some torn newspaper squares, and then she ties the ends together with the granny knot. She looks over at the clock on the mantelpiece. The clock says 5 to 4. Not unexpected. The clock has said 5 to 4 since the day the mainspring ran down almost a year ago. Audrey usually winds the clock up last thing at night, but since little Billy dropped the winder thing down the grid, she's unable to. According to Billy, it was Father Christmas's fault because the magnet on his magnetic fishing game wasn't strong enough to lift the winder thing back up from the grid, where Billy had dropped it as a test. Nevertheless, old habits die hard.
Oh, is that the time?
She says aloud. It's only a thought, not a question, so she isn't expecting an answer. She gets one anyway. A deep voice calls out from the front parlour on the other side of the middle door. That depends, my sweet little air shirt. It might be the time if you're looking at the clock. It might be, but on the other hand, if you're looking in the bread bin, it's probably a loaf.
For your information, Mr. Clever Richard, I was looking at the clock.
The clock's buggered, Audrey.
I wasn't talking to you anyway.
Audrey forces a smile and makes a determined effort to sound unruffled. She isn't. And she knows that he knows that she isn't. She stands up from the table and pushes the chair out with the backs of her legs. She pings the elastic band on her wrist, takes a couple of deep breaths and moves the string of newspaper squares over to the stove by the back door and places them on the corner ready for taking out to the outside lavatory next time anyone goes out. Audrey has learned that having the last word now and then makes her feel better, even if it's only for the benefit of her own ears. So she hisses,
You can put that up your pipe and smoke it.
and he makes her smile. But she really hates arguing. It sets her nerves off. Unfortunately for her, Alf really enjoys it. In Alf's defence, it could be said, and it is said in academic circles at least, that debating is healthy. In fact, debating is part of the curriculum in some posh schools. Not that there are any posh schools around here. Around here, kids are taught not to argue, the preferred teaching method being a clout round the ear hole. And around here, they don't do curriculums either. The last time the word curriculum came up was in the staff room at St Bob's Primary when the young and enthusiastic teacher, Miss Honeybunny, used it in a conversation with Mr Tickle, English, PE and Games, about injuries in school football matches. Mr Tickle, with his tongue firmly in his cheek, assured Miss Honeybunny that, regarding injuries, the wearing of shin pads was compulsory, even if made of cardboard or linoleum. And anyway, to his knowledge, no child had ever broken his curriculum. Miss Honeybunny didn't get the joke. It is said, however, by the great overeducated and minimally life-skilled moralists who claim to know better than good, well-ordered argument is intellectually stimulating and can promote greater understanding and tolerance of others, thereby resulting in a more balanced and better integrated civilised society. Phew. The truth is, however, that all that old philosophy tosh doesn't come into it for Ralph Bradshaw. He simply enjoys a right good argy-bargy, anywhere and with anyone. He enjoys it in the pub, at work and at home, and in emergency even with the pot dog in the front parlour. So, whether Audrey resists and bites her tongue or not, and her tongue really ought to resemble an old bath sponge now after all the chomping it's had, Alf will happily carry on prodding and poking and nipping and sniping until he gets a reaction. But Audrey has worked out that if he doesn't get a reaction, he just might get fed up and pick on somebody else. Perhaps someone in the newspaper he's reading when he's sat in the outside lavatory putting down roots or whatever else he puts down out there. One time, Audrey showed Alf the rash that had come up on her neck, and she told him how the doctor had said that it was probably stress-related and that she should try to avoid arguments. Alf advised Audrey to change her soap. As for the doctor, Alf said he was just talking through the wrong hole as usual, or words to that effect. Anyway, you shouldn't be so touchy, Audrey. This isn't proper arguing, he'd argued. You'd know it if it was proper arguing. This is just banter. Take it as a sign of affection. Try to think of it more like a bit of verbal jousting to be enjoyed and then forgotten, like scratching an itch. Audrey had answered him, hating herself as she did.
Itches just had an habit of moving somewhere else, don't they? And they need scratching again, don't they? So instead, why don't you just get one of them claw-shaped back scratchers like what they sell in Blackpool? Then you can scratch yourself till you're red on the back and blue in the face and leave me in peace.
Then she went and sat on the bottom stair, pinging her elastic band and trying to slow her breathing down. So there they are again. Audrey in the kitchen, hating the arguing, and Alf in the parlour, enjoying the banter. Quite as contrary as Jack Spratt and his missus. Audrey goes over to the chair she's been sat on, plumps up the cushion and puts it nice and neat and square on the seat. Then she pushes the chair back under the table where it belongs, something she always seems to be telling Billy to do. She looks over at the parlour door and decides she needs something from the corner shop. Anything will do. That's the first chapter.
Oh, that's lovely, that.
He's throwing darts in the kitchen, that's what the fun is.
Radio has and always will paint better pictures because the three of us here all got a different image in our heads of what was going on.
I was there.
There you are. He was banging the table every so often, him.
It's lovely, that.
But it's good, yeah.
That was actually, I'm watching you read it, and that's the tough thing to do. That was word perfect. That was brilliant.
Yeah, not one
Fantastic.
slip up there, Buzz. You make me sick. Why can't you be normal like other people? Make mistakes. Yeah. What's next?
What's next?
Yeah, in the life of Buzz Hawkins.
Right
Where do you
now-
see yourself in 5 years?
It's in 5 years. Well, by then I will have made, and it's not a bucket list because I'm not onto bucket list yet.
Sure.
I will have made the second series of the Granada television series that I was supposed to have got the second option for the year after I made the first one.
Right.
And if you understand that, just phone in and let me know. In '94 I made the television series for Granada
did.
television, which was
Watched it.
quite an adventure to
All
do.
from the waist down, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, interesting. What had happened was, what happened was they promised me a second. It was a contract with an option for the second year to take the second series, and I jumped at it, obviously. But it never happened because they got a new program controller in there at Granada just before that.
New broom sweeps clean.
And he came in and he says, I can't take the option up this time, but we'll come back to it in a bit. Well, that's 26 years ago now, so, 27 years ago now, so I'm not holding my breath. But just I'll go back to why this is true. I know I can make that series or another series just like that series in the same format easier than I made the first one, cheaper than I made the third one, believe it or not, because they screwed me rotten with the money, but and better because I'm a lot wiser now and I know how to do it.
Did
far
you
better.
self-direct?
Yeah, I did the lot. Yeah. Well, they'd seen me. They come out to see me work some shows, and because I do voices off as well as voices on,
Yeah, yeah.
and I also use an animatronic puppet, which I was
I was going
using.
to say that.
It's a robot. They call it an animal.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
an
go
animatronic.
on, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember I went to see it at St Boniface's in Salford.
Oh, blimey,
and
yeah, I
had it,
remember
and I
that.
thought, bloody hell,
Sure,
that's
sure,
great.
St Boniface's.
Yeah.
That's a log. It's like a log one. that
Gone
is.
now.
Log cabin.
Cabin.
Gone
No, it's not. It's still there.
Is it?
Yeah, the log cabin. The school's gone. St Boniface's next to the Peck's Corner.
I thought there was a bit of furore about
There
the-
might be.
about the
It
thing
may have
that's
gone, but the last I saw it, and I was down there a few weeks ago, it was still evident.
Yeah, I remember doing
But I don't
that
think it's
place.
going as a
Great,
club
yeah.
anymore. It was a big log cabin.
Right.
And I didn't get thrown.
Well, I think they come to see me at Gracie Fields Theatre or somewhere like that. And so I do voices off at the same time as operating Billy with two remote. I've got a remote, and I do, when we use the robot,
Oh, you should
I'm
have
not
brought
an
him.
animatronic.
It's,
He's a two-manner.
Yeah,
you
he
see.
is.
So I have to have a
just like to
sideman
look
all
at
the
it.
time.
he always had
Look at
an
it.
assistant on the
Yeah, I always have a
doing the
sideman.
side bits.
Well, I lip sync it.
Yeah.
There's one. I have a sidekick, so he operates the. I operate the two cheeks,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
are independent.
Yeah.
The chin open and compress, so I can get all kinds of for the mouth, any position for a lip sync, and he operates the head, left, right, up, down.
And he's still got
While
a
he sits
plaster on
there.
his knee, hasn't he?
Still got a plaster on the knee. Yeah.
And does he have a roller skate on?
He's got one. He's got a roller skate on over the top of his wellies. Yeah. Yeah. But he only got the second one the year after for his birthday.
Yeah.
Because he got the first one for Christmas.
Where's the name come from? Who is Billy Bradshaw?
Billy Bradshaw. Well, I was born William.
Yeah.
So it's Billy. And the Bradshaws, I was looking for a name the day that I wrote the first story for Piccadilly Radio. And it turned out, I can't remember, I must have remembered somewhere that there was some element of my family, of my dad's side of the family,
That were
there was some
Bradshaw.
Bradshaws in there.
And what about Alf and Audrey? Where do they come from?
Based on every dad I knew in the time. Alf was everybody dad.
Working
they were all
class,
chauvinistic,
flat-capped, woodbine
looking, they were all
smoking.
talk.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like to drink,
Yeah.
sarcasm and being Manx.
And bet on the GGs and always
sarcastic
losing.
and cynical, and they liked a bit here and there. But good, I found the ones that I knew, my Uncle Jack, my dad and people like that, were all good-hearted people.
Sure.
They just, you had to learn a hard lesson, and you got hard lessons
Absolutely.
as well.
It
You know, pain was
transposed,
the
like
best
we
teacher.
said, to the northeast and over here. How does it go south of Birmingham?
I have to talk slower.
Todora bitchy, you're all right, yow.
Yeah, I do. I have to make sure I enunciate properly. I don't oversell the northern thing with it, and I've never. I don't know what dialect you think that the Bradshaws have got, but I've done my best not to make it proper Lancashire or Yorkshire or Scottish or anything like. I've tried to. The vowels are flat, and that's as far as they'll go. So
Neutral.
Northern, the neutral, and it's not deliberately Wigan, Astley.
Can I
It's
just
not
say,
even
Bud,
Centre
I had
Manchester.
an argument with a chap a while ago. Well, we're talking about you. He said it's set in Eccles, that. And I said, how did you come to that leap of faith? He said, it's Eccles, I know. It's all these things, he says, I can relate to. They're all Eccles. I said, it's a generic Lancashire thing.
Yeah.
Now, you lived in Glossop for a
Just
while,
being
but where were
inclusive.
you born?
Yeah.
I was born in Ancoats.
Not Beswick.
Right, Duff, you'll be made
I
up.
was born in Ancoats Hospital, but lived in Beswick.
So
till I
you
was
weren't a
12
million
or
miles from
13.
Bellevue.
Oh, Bellevue.
And as a kid, you'd have gone to Bellevue.
Absolutely.
How much of
yeah.
that is in Billy Bradshaw's head?
Quite a lot.
Oh,
yeah,
bet.
absolutely. Well, I did the book, and the front cover. I did the illustration for. I got a clever artist to finish it off. Was a picture of him at the cage of the monkey with a funny coloured bum.
Yeah.
Which was one of the
Mandrels, yeah.
Here's another
Baboon with a
thing
blue heart.
I'll remind you of that you've probably forgot.
Go on.
You did a paedophile thing. Stranger
Stranger
Danger.
Danger. It wasn't. We didn't call it paedophile.
Well, nobody did then.
It was a child's song singing "Beware of Strangers."
That was
That's
it.
all.
Yeah.
You said paedophile.
Thank
I know, but the connotation was take care when you're out
Yeah,
there.
well,
Don't talk to
basically, that's
strangers.
exactly
That was
what it
what I
was,
meant,
yeah.
you know.
That's what it was.
I didn't coin the word paedophile. It's something that
Stop repeating it.
the woke have done. No, it happens. It exists. What the hell? It's real, you know. But what Buzz did was try to educate kids, you know, to stranger danger.
So was it like Charlie says? Remember Charlie?
Yeah, Charlie says, and
so-
this is Mickey can swim like
Yeah.
a fish.
Well, GMP got involved with
Yeah.
it. Yeah, and they helped me to produce the actual video itself for it. And that was Stranger Danger show, Billy's Stranger Danger song, which did really well. The one that did really well for me in 1986 was Billy's Easy Peasy song.
Oh, I
about
remember
crossing
that.
the road.
Yeah.
think it's easy peasy, boy. It's not.
Everyone knows that.
Didn't Timmy Mallet have something to do? Didn't he play that on his show, the Timmy Mallet
He
show?
played it on his show, yeah.
Yeah, I seem to remember
And it
that.
got to, this is true, it got to number 109 in the UK charts.
What's that in pounds, shillings and pence?
109.
Is that no big deal in
No
that?
big deal, no,
A
no.
new house in Salford.
109, how good's that? People, sounds like I'm making that up. We really got to that.
Did it?
Not bad for a 7, nearly 8-year-old.
Not bad at all. Yeah, but I don't. There's something about babes. They're not allowed to go on after 10 o'clock. You know.
I'm having that. I'll
In the
put it down to
theatre,
that,
yeah.
And so Billy's had quite a lot of stuff. He's got a single that comes out every Christmas. It's out now. I think it's just started to play it now, called Christmas for Everyone.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
it's a lovely Christmas song.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
pleased
it
with
is.
Yeah, so I did it with a bunch of kids. Wrote it for initially. I wrote the song for St Winifred's Choir.
Oh yeah, the
They did.
grandma.
Yeah, and it was on there. It was the title track on the album. Christmas
Wasn't
for
Eamon
Everyone.
O'Neill on that or something?
He was no, he wasn't on it, but he was one of the teachers at the time
Right,
at St
right.
Winifred's. Apparently,
I thought so.
yeah, I didn't work with
One
him
of
at
the
the time.
choir was from Coronation Street, wasn't she? One of the girls singing in that.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
think
she-
she'd finished
yeah,
up there.
she
Yeah,
was on Coronation.
I think so. Yeah.
How are we doing for time, Carl? Are we running?
Roughly about 10
Can
minutes
you?
left.
We're more talking, but can you play us
We've
out
gone
with a song,
over,
though?
but-
Would that be intrusive?
No, I'll get the guitar. Right.
Get
I'll
the
try
git.
to remember that I've got a microphone pinned to there and
Yeah.
not go in there
Don't
cough,
be breaking
and have a
wind.
cough and a splutter.
Honestly, Fred's been to the
Fred's
toilet.
been to the toilet once, so
I don't care though. Just get abandoned, you know.
I've got headphones on now and it's disgusting.
Everybody wee wees.
It wasn't a wee.
Michael Duff, you'll be happy knowing that Buzz is from Ancoats. You've got
Yeah.
some affinity there, haven't you?
An Ancoats lad.
Oh, so I forgot all about it. Dave Allen, your mate, Dave Allen, CBA.
Yeah.
He messaged me this morning and he said, there's a lad in Wetherspoons from Salford now asking questions about the World Cup. What should I tell him? And I said, tell him to F-off, because there are rivals, you know, with the media thing. And he took it dead serious. And he did. So I said, whoa, don't say that to him. And he said to me, I thought you were a nice person, Flynny. I said, it's a joke, I know the lad. He'll take it on the chin. So, Dave, it was only a joke, and I'm glad you appreciated. And he did message me, and he apologised. So everyone's happy, Dave. And I said I'd mention you.
I don't like
So tell him to F off then.
He buys me a pint of Guinness when I see him. So,
Hiya, Dave. All right, mate.
Good lad.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's cleared that little
Yeah,
faux pas up,
faux
hasn't it?
pas, yeah,
So
it
with
was.
the likes of Thomas the Tank and all these other things being bought up by big studios,
Yeah.
what about Pixar Studios?
Pixar.
That'd be great, wouldn't it? Pixar here. Bit of Spielberg.
Do you know of
Is that a
Pixar?
Martin?
I've heard of them.
It's not a Martin, is it?
Martin, it's my baby.
Was it
No,
really?
I bet
Yeah.
it is.
Oh, he goes
He
mad
does
over
well,
Martins,
Martin,
I'll
doesn't
tell
he?
you a story
He
about
didn't
this
know
now,
so
but I
well.
won't.
That's it.
Yeah, I bought one.
Can you get buzzing thing there?
Put your leg up, Buzz, it's all right.
Is that fine?
Yeah, it's fine.
Right, what about the balance between the two? You know?
No, it's fine.
Radio man. The radio man, you see.
Okay, what was that request that you had?
Mine
Yes.
was the Indian waiter.
The Raji Singh song.
The Raji Singh song.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, I'm just going to give you a chorus and a verse, that's all.
Yeah.
Right, on this one. Because it's a true story, this, as most of these are that I make up. We used to go for meat, you'll know this, at the weekends after the gigs in the clubland. We'd all, whichever town we were working, Burnley or somewhere
for a
like
curry.
that, we'd have a favourite curry house. And
Yeah.
all the acts, when they
Yeah, we
finished
all
at
did, yeah.
11:30, we'd all go and meet, we'd all sit around and have a laugh. And I sat there many a night, impressed by the staff who put up with murder. Not necessarily from us, but all the lads going in there 9 pints further on, 3 sheets to the wind, effing and jeffing, uffing and cuffing. And they'd serve them lovely food with a smile on their face and show tolerance and patience. So I thought, you know, I'm going to write a song in honour of my favourite Indian restaurant, which is the Raji Singh. So it's catchy chorus, so it's called the Raji Singh song. So, and if you want to dance, it's a sand dance.
Right.
The Raji Singh. The Raji Singh.
It is pleasing me to be welcoming you to the Raji Singh, sir. How do you do? Can I take your coat and the beer can stow and make it clear of the curry?
The Raji
Sing all together now.
The Raji Singh.
Biryani is hot, but not as hot as a Rogan Josh with the chili on the top. Chicken madras dough, very, very hot. It's not hotter than a vindaloo. Onion bhaji, at the Raji, served with spices, very, very nice. Second to none is a big papadum. 14 kinds of chutney on, fresh in your bread with the pink onion. The Raji Singh all together now.
The Raji
Sing all together now.
The Raji Singh.
Oh, wonderful.
I'm so glad you did that, Buzz, because you weren't up for doing it, were you?
No, because of the brigade, the PC brigade.
The Wolves.
No, but they missed the point. It's called irony.
Exactly.
That's what I think.
We all associate with that.
sketch, going for an English. In
Kumar's at
the
42.
Kumars, when they
They twisted it round. Let's go for an English.
They go for an English.
Oh, not some of that damn Yorkshire pudding again.
Give me your
They give us good back as they
meal.
got. I used to have a drink with Sanjay Bhaskar at the BBC. He was a decent fella.
The lines were just great. Give me your blandest meal.
Yeah.
You know, they want white bread.
Chips with everything.
12 rounds of white bread.
Yeah. But they did. They give us good back, didn't they?
They did.
And I think everybody can associate with what you've just sang about the biryani and the vindaloo and all that, Buzz. It was good. And Flynny, many a time he's run out of the Salima in Eccles without having to pay, you know, so it brought back sort of like...
when I could do it.
Yeah, when he could run. Those are the days.
I was like topper of the track.
Yeah, that was, what was that? The Rover?
Wilson. Remember Wilson in the comics? The man of mystery used to live on the moors and drink herbs.
Oh, yeah.
I've just sold out in the first edition of the... I'm dead pleased that it's actually sold out of that Bradshaws and all that album that I made, the annual. Because I based it on the fact that adults, when you grow up, basically, you finish up, your Christmas present is socks and underpants in it, basically. That's the normal. And yet, when you were a kid, it was just wonderful, even if you only got...
an apple and an
orange and some nuts.
Tangerine.
Yeah,
apple and an orange.
So
And
you've always got an annual.
The Rupert annual.
Topper.
Dan Dare, Pilot of the Future.
Dan Dare,
The
Eagle. Go on.
Yeah.
John Buchan, Football Weekly.
Yeah.
Roy of the Rovers. What was that other one? Alf Tupper, the track.
Top of the track. Yeah, you just
He
mentioned
never
that,
had annual, he was in the Wizard.
And Black Bob, the
the
dog.
faithful Highland collar.
Yeah, and
I
Harris
liked that.
Tweed. Harris Tweed.
And the ladies' ones.
Oh, the Bunty.
Bunty.
The girls' friend.
Jackie.
School friend.
Girlfriend. School
Robin.
friend.
The Silent Three.
Remember Robin Annual?
The Valentine, where it was all captioned
Yeah,
with the balloon commentaries. I love him so much.
Well, I thought it's not fair. Not fair for adults. And
So,
grown-ups,
what
'cause we
did you
get
come up
nothing.
with?
So I did the Bradshaws annual. But it's not going to be annual. It took me too long to do the first one. So it's an annual that's not an annual.
Right.
And it's got all the cartoons in it and how to make paper aeroplanes and heritage and just all balmy stuff. And it's all sold out. I'm thrilled to bits with it.
How did you get on with your dad?
I loved him to bits.
Did
He
you?
was strict though.
Was he?
I loved him more when he'd gone than I remember loving him
When he was
here.
alive.
It sounds a bit...
No,
crude,
it doesn't.
but
It's absolutely
my dad
normal.
was my dad. You know, you just did as you were asked. But I'm sure as he got older, he wanted to know us more. Or I think he wanted us to know him more.
Was you getting on then? Was you improving your prospects at radio and the Bradshaw.
Yeah.
Was he
yeah.
proud of that?
Yeah, I didn't know, but what had happened was, you know, in the days when of naivety and before Google, because I'm a songwriter, and an issue seemed to be people nicking your work. So they used to say, "Oh, you got to copyright it," and there was loads of thoughts on how you did it.
Yeah.
One of which was write everything down, put it in an envelope, send it registered mail to yourself, but never open it.
Yeah.
Right. And you keep it there, and then one day when somebody nicks your idea, you can prove it and say, no, that's the date.
Yeah,
when
yeah.
I did it, that was your proof then. It's not necessary, absolutely not. But I'd done that and sent it to my dad's address, because he had a bureau in there, kept everything precious.
Was his
clean.
name Billy?
He was called William George, yeah.
Right, yeah.
And he kept everything in the bureau, all my diploma, things that I'd got at school and stuff, he kept them all there.
Swimming certificate.
Yeah, that swimming, my length certificate, yeah. And then one day I got this letter through the door, and it was off my dad, and it just said, "Thank you, son. I bathe in your light." Oh. I thought, what weird is that? Because my dad wasn't poetic. Oh, we shut that phone up. It's mine, actually. Sorry about that. Sorry about this. Yes, stupid phone. Sorry. And I asked him what was it about, and he thought I'd sent him the words to this song, which were a letter to him.
Yeah.
Because he'd opened it, despite it saying
Do not open. Yeah.
But he'd opened it, and he thought that I was. Anyway, I talked to him about it. I said, "No, it's been copywriting, Dad." So, all right, okay, yeah. So I said, "What did you mean, bathe? I bathe in your light?" He said, "Well," so I won't tell you this. He said, "But I'm very proud of what you've done, son." That was the first indication of pride I ever got.
My dad was like
my dad.
Never said any credit to me. When
Did he not?
No, but I found out after he died. He said, "Your old fella's forever bumming you up, saying what a wonderful fella you was." And never went over
Yeah,
that.
crazy,
Yeah.
Give us a song.
Another one, okay, all right.
It's going to be the last one because we've run over.
Well, can we just bring that up there behind you, Darren? Can you give us that poster there? Because Henry Hill, who has reindeers on Chat Moss, is giving us this. Now, it's Christmas cheer event, Sunday the 4th of December, 12 noon till 5. Meet Santa in his real reindeers, and they are real. It's at Bewley Park by the mansion. There's fun fair rides, food and drinks, community stores, giant inflatable snow globe, and the sponsors of the Barfield Club and Draxida Constructions, and it's supported by Kurt Hill's Northwest Fun Fairs. And it's all about the kids' planet. There you go, the place to be.
Can I just add as well, Bulow Mansion Associations?
Absolutely, Hillary.
Can we also add free tickets for our grandkids?
Yeah, I'm sure he'd put them in, Henry, for you.
To try it, haven't we, bud? Yeah.
Okay then, Darren, thanks for that. You should be our cover girl of the week.
You're like the girl on the boxing ring.
He should be wearing one of them costumes like they had on Sale of the Century, where they brought presents on and
I feel like Debbie McGee.
So do I, you can't find her anywhere.
Right, we're going to go out with a tune sung by our wonderful, wonderful guest, Buzz.
Okay, this is to celebrate Northern joining up words.
Right.
Because we're not only frugal as far as spending money and on food and everything else in the north, we also are frugal about the way we speak and write. So we don't do punctuation marks and spaces for a lot of things. So for instance, all one word, here's me head, my arse is coming. The best one I've ever seen written down was, "Dunna let her get on bustle, someone else will have to get off." Right? And the one that I use now for this song is very, what's the word? It's well, it's useful. It's a very useful word. This well, you have to laugh, aren't you? We say it in the face of adversity.
You have to laugh.
You have to laugh, aren't you? If it's something humorous happening, like, bloody hell, you couldn't find your own arsehole with a mirror on a stick. Well, you have to laugh, aren't you? Or a sad one. Mrs. Next Door's just died. Well, you have to laugh, aren't you? It's a northern thing, you see. So that's the chorus. So it goes. Well, you have to laugh, aren't you? Let's give whinging a rest.
2 minutes.
There's a big German shepherd that lives on our street, unruly, unhinged and unpleasant. Each morning he cocks his leg up the wall and he squats on me path and leaves presents. And this morning that shepherd brought his dog round as well. Will you have to laugh, yeah? Let's give whinging a rest.
A rest, a rest.
I'm laughing at this because I know it. I forgot the bloody word. I've forgotten the first line now. I'll do the other one.
COVID.
Is it?
Brain fog.
Little bits of these little brain farts.
Yeah, brain farts, yeah.
Now, last week in Tesco, 2 elderly men whose trolley wheels needed correction. When one wanted tea bags and the other corned beef, both arrived in the underpants section. I'm trying to find wife. Yes, I am as well. Perhaps you've seen her. Why, what does she look like? Oh, she's just 24 with long legs and blonde hair and large breasts. Why, what does yours look like? Oh, bugger mine, let's both look for yours. Chorus. Will you have to laugh, haven't you? Into, we're going into a fade now. Let's give whinging a rest.
A rest, a rest.
That goes on for about 15 minutes. There you are.
Buzz Hawkins, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming, Buzz.
Darren Goulden, thank you.
Yourself, good man.
Pleasure. Been a
Looking
pleasure.
forward to Irlam Live.
Thank you, brilliant. Thank
And
you.
we're looking forward to see you in the next new year.
Oh, lovely.
It's all right,
Lovely.
we'll come and see you, promise. Won't we? Thanks ever so much for watching, and what a wonderful guest. Singular plural.
To have you.
We'll see you next week, hopefully. Cheers, thank you.